G'day MBS. Well, I'm going to be doing the right hand rear axle and drum disassembly on my bus because for some reason the axle's getting really hot, or the drum is anyway. Just walking past the bus within a foot I could feel the heat against my leg compared to the left hand side. Left hand side was just warmish. So left is good, something really badly wrong with the right. Now, I discovered that on a recent trip. We went about 200k and I felt it, and I'm going, oh my god, I've still got another 1500k to do. I didn't think I'd get through the trip, but we did, and we got it back home. So before I go on a big trip now, I'm going to check it out. Okay, if you've got one of those fancy chrome covers on your bus, you'll probably have a cap like this on it. Now, we undo all these nuts around the outside, yeah, 14mm. Just rattle them off if you've got a rattle gun or spanner, and then that cover just comes off. Easy as, no problems there. The next thing is, you've got these little tapered washers in there. Okay, they're just a flat washer. Oh, where's the camera? And they are forced in there, even though this thing is pinned, but these are in there to secure that axle absolutely spot on, and the pressure of these helps with that taper to keep that axle locked in place. So you've got to get them off, alright? They're not easy. Sometimes you can tap around here with a hammer and dislodge some of them, but if they've got goop all over them, they may be hard to dislodge. However, there is a little shortcut you could do, and that's get a 12mm bolt, and you see there's a threaded hole here and a threaded hole here. You put that into there, and as you screw that in, that axle will just come out, okay? Especially if you put two in, so you're not kicking it sideways. So let's do that. So I'm just going to use a normal old 14 ring and turn that round, and hopefully there you can see the separation. Easy as that. Whoops. And boom, boom. And these tapered washers should fall off. Okay, so now we will carefully withdraw the axle because there's a seal just in the end there, and it seals up. Not got it on picture. I'll turn this axle around and you'll see the surface there that's slightly blue. There's a little seal that runs on that. Right, it's the same for the other side, no different. Okay, now what you've got are these little lock tabs in here that once you've done the bearing adjustment, I'm going to have to use an impact driver to get them out. If you're using an impact driver, guys, make sure you choose the right bit to undo these. That was loose. And so was that one. You normally have to, boom, give that a bit of a hit with a hammer to get these off. They're not really tight because they're only tiny little threads, so they shouldn't be too tight, but they'll be just that little bit too tight to try and undo them with a normal screwdriver. Okay, we take the plate off. Alright, now we get down to trying to undo this lock nut. Now here's another trick we can use, is we're going to put two bolts in here and then use a screwdriver to undo that. So yeah, these are just little 8mm threads. You can screw that in there and that in there. Now I've got this little lever bar that I can use, and whole idea is to lock it on that one and lock it on that one, and that one came undone just like that. So there we go. Well, looks like the bearing's sliding out just from, this is heavy. This is heavy. So so far I'm not seeing a reason why this is overheating. We've got plenty of grease in there. That doesn't appear to be the problem. Now we'll give this a little bit of a shake, and that bearing should just come out. Okay, so at this, you definitely want to be repacking your bearing. If you're doing this job, you're going to end up repacking all this. Now I've got to brace myself to get this drum off without hurting my back. Let's see if I can handle it. Oh, hello! And there it is. One brake shoe, bonded brake shoe, broken off. Christ. Well, I'm glad I found something. Alright, now we know what the problem was. We're on the way to fix it. Alright, to knock out a bearing, now we saw the first bearing I took out, that's called the cone, and the matching part is called the cup. Now I've taken a picture of inside this because the video camera won't get it, and you're going to see exactly where I'm going to place this punch to punch this out. Don't hit, if you're going to throw the bearings away, you can punch this out any way you like, but if you're going to retain the cone and cup, you must knock out the cup, okay, to knock the seal out. You don't hit the actual cone of the bearing. You may distort it, you may not, but it's not worth the risk. So I'm going to put, I've just cleaned up this brass punch. You don't hit it with a steel punch, so if you haven't got a brass punch, don't hit it with a steel punch. Otherwise you will be replacing a new cup and bearing assembly. So, boom, we give that a hit there. There'll be a matching one on the other side. Now I've got this sitting on a piece of sponge to catch that cone as it comes out. And there you go, the seal is out. And that's all we want. We don't want to knock the cup right out. We just want to remove the cone and the seal, and there you have it. That is left down there, and we will replace. We could probably get away with that seal, but no, I'll replace it. May as well while you're here, guys. This is a heavy awkward job, and you don't want to be what do you call it, being a tight ass and not spend the extra few bucks and get your seal replaced. Yeah, alright, so that's caught there, and you see, don't know if you could see it on the camera, but all I have to do now is punch that cup back in and reseat it and clean that drum up and get rid of all the grease, and when we get the new seal and parts, we'll reapply new grease in there, re-grease the bearings. Alright, now of course I'm not just going to do the right hand side, yeah? Alright, you do things in pairs. So I'm going to have to do the left side as well now that we've discovered that it's a brake shoe. Could be old age, alright? Who knows how long those shoes have been in there. Okay, first step to removing the brake shoes. Undo these two little clips here that hold the shoe up against the backing plate, and that's a simple matter. A pair of pliers, line it up with that little wing, push that spring in, grab that and twist it, and off she comes. Okay, so twist that off and get them off. Okay, place them down on the ground. We could knock that pin out if we wanted to. Just withdraw it. I'll do the same with the top. Now this might spin sometimes and you'll never get it untwisted, so it'll be a simple matter of holding onto that and see if you can just twist it off like that. Oh, nearly had it. There we go. The spring forces it off. Now, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. I think I prefer the easy way, just to get it apart, and then we'll work out how we're going to put it all back together later with the springs connected. So I can grab a little punch, put it on the edge of the spring and punch it like so. It's still gripping, and then we can just shoes off. Whoop, bang! Hey, that was an easy way, wasn't it? And there we have the two shoes. That's your brake shoes off. Now all we have to do is just clean everything up. Now just a quick one on checking your wheel cylinders. You see this little rubber boot here? You get a little screwdriver, you lift up that rubber boot and you check for wetness. If there's any wetness in there whatsoever, guys, replace the wheel cylinder. Alright, because that's telling you that the brake fluid is passing the piston cup, and eventually it's going to be worse. And you don't want a brake failure. Not that they would fail in such a dramatic way, but eventually this will fill up with brake fluid and then pressurize, come out and go over your shoes, and then you'll lose your brake effectiveness. Alrighty, and that's it. We've stripped it down. Now it's time to measure and order the parts. When it comes to clean up, guys, make sure you get all the old gasket off the axle face here. It usually conglomerates right down here at the bottom of the studs, so you need to get that all out and off the main surface, so it's all nicely cleaned for when you put the new stuff on. Now there's supposed to be a gasket in here according to the manuals, and there wasn't one there obviously, so whether they couldn't get the gasket or they decided to leave it off and use goop instead, that's fine. If you've got a gasket, put a gasket on, but you'll still probably have to seal it. I do not trust gaskets on their own without some sort of sealing compound on them, and it protects you just in case it does start to leak. At least it won't leak through the sealant. So yeah, get all that nice and clean. We still haven't punched the bearing in, and there's a good reason that we haven't done that. It's so that we can clean the inside of the hub, and we're just using a brush and petrol for this job and getting it in there. We flip it over, do it from the other side, get all the old grease out, and then we'll knock that cup in once we air dry it. Okay, now that I've cleaned this, I'm going to knock the bearing in. Brass punch, we're going to head it down till it's flush with the outside edge here, and then we're going to have to carefully move this inboard a little bit to punch it further down, okay? Don't try and punch it all down in the one spot. Move it around a bit, make it go down square. Now that we're level here, we're going to take the punch inside a little bit, and once it goes down below the surface, you've got something to rest the punch against. When you get to the end, you'll know about it. There, did you hear the sound difference? And then, oh, look at that. Took a piece out of my punch, and that's what happens with brass punches. And again, you can imagine if that was steel, that would probably take a chip out of the punch, out of the cup. Now we've only got one little bit left on this, and that's got a good ricochet, so that bearing is in place with no damage to the cup. Now on the brake drum, you need to roughen up the surface that the brake shoes are going to be rubbing against, so you want to be roughing that up best way you can. For most of you, you'll be using a sheet of wet and dry, probably around about 80 grit, and all you do is just rub the inside, if you can, in a circular motion, and rough it all up, and then your new shoes will bond a little bit better and bed in. Okay, we've done all the cleaning we're going to do on the drum and hub, all cleaned up, cup knocked back in, and we're up to the point of cleaning the bearings. Right, just to shorten this video, I have segregated the how to repack the wheel bearings into its own little video, which I'll put a link to at the end of this tutorial, and you'll be able to look it up there how to do that. But I will recap on how to install it into the hub and fitting the seal, just to recap on that. Okay, there's the bearing fully lubed up. We've also put about a 2 or 3 mil thick of grease on the cup as well, and then we just throw that bearing pack in there like so. Just make sure that you are full of grease in the valleys, and there's no point putting any more grease than that in there, yeah, because it's going to go nowhere. It's you don't fill up the internal hub full of grease like a lot of people do. It does absolutely nothing. So now we've got our seal, we'll drop that on using our special tool that we got from Bunnings to drive that seal in. Beautiful. Now I've got a smaller block of wood this time, and we just hammer that in square. And then you'll get this ricochet, knowing that it's seated. Voila, done. Okay folks, don't panic. You may have noticed that we're on the left hand side of the vehicle now, not the right. I stuffed up the filming of that, didn't I? So we're going to continue on where I left off on the right hand side on the left. Okay, if you're putting new shoes on because you've worn out your old shoes, you need to set up your self adjusters, alright, because they're going to be wound right out. Because of the self adjusters been working correctly. You'll probably find that your adjuster may be out a long way like that. And the way the self adjuster works, you can see it clicks, but it locks up the other way. So when you're adjusting this from behind, you have to remember which way to move your lever to click this on. Alright, so we need to undo that. So we need to wind these back in till they stop, and then take them out about a half full turn. Alright, you do that for the bottom one on the other side, and this will enable your new shoes to fit into the drum without any problems. Right guys, which way do we fit the shoes? Alright, normally in a vehicle you've got something like this, okay? You have your leading and trailing shoes. This back shoe here should have the shoe right up at the front, okay? Not like this one. Now this is the left hand side of the vehicle that we're working on now, not the right. So when you saw me pull this apart, you would have seen the front of the vehicle that way. You would have seen this sitting on there like that. So it just rotates around. So we're on the left hand side now, so all we do is rotate that around like that, and then that would sit in there like so. When you do your second shoe, you just rotate it round, and that's the way it sits. Alright, pretty easy. So we'll take this back off and we'll fit these springs up, hook them in where they should go, in that little recess up there. We'll put the shoe on into its place, and we'll put that pin through, yeah, and that'll hold the shoe in place for us. Alright, so you pull the pin through, you orientate it straight up and down, you put your little washer in there, orientate it correctly, and we can let go of that pin now because you're not going to be able to hold on to it. When you get your spring and the other assembly, you orientate it at 12 o'clock also. And this is the hard bit, guys. This may take you a couple of goes. You line it all up. I've got it pushed in. Will I get it first go? I don't know. Yes, I'm a winner. Do you know how many times that took me on the other side? Took forever. Okay, that looks pretty central. Now, the bottom shoe, let's hook it up to the springs. Now, I should tell you at this point in time, this adjuster could fall out, okay, because it's upside down. It's only held in there loosely by the adjuster itself, biting into the ratchet. So if it falls down, guys, don't panic, just put it back up and line it back up. With the slot, so the slot is the same orientation as the shoe. Alright, here we go. This isn't as hard as it looks. We're just going to push down on it with our hands, get that into the slot of the wheel cylinder. Okay, make sure that slot is lined up though. Okay, that's in. Now all we've got to do is the same on this side. Excuse the head, it gets in the way. And check that you've hooked them in, top and bottom, and tap it in where it looks like it should be. Try and get it lined up, pinned to that hole at the back of the pin. And then we put this bottom pin in, through like so. This one, I bet you I don't get this one first go. Okay, I've pushed that all the way in. I've got the pin through. Oh, grab it and turn it. Hey, that wasn't too bad. Only took me 3 goes. Alright, so we've got the shoe on. It looks like it's centered. You'll soon see if it's not centered when you go to put the drum on. But keep this little hammer handy. Don't use a full steel hammer, just use one of these soft hammers to bash the shoe left and right to get it on. Alright, so now we're ready to put the brake drum on. Okay, lather the outside bearing with a good 2 or 3 mil layer of grease on the cup before you fit it. And we can keep this in there, this isn't going to hurt anything. That was just to stop any crap getting into the axle housing. Now we're going to position ourselves so that we can lift this up and slide it on. Now this is about 20 something kilos. Now have a look at the back and line up that bearing. Oh my goodness, that went on easy. Okay, I'm having a win today. This is pretty good. The right hand one didn't go on that easy. Okay, the bearing is chock-a-block full of grease, and push him in there with the huge wad of grease that you've got on the cup and the huge wad of grease we've got on the bearing. That is more than... oh, nearly pushed that rag in too far. I'll get him out easy enough. There we go. And you'll feel the grease packing in. Alright. Now, if these are brand new bearings, you'll probably be a good idea to seat them in. So put your tool in there, or lever bar, whatever you've got, and do them up tight, okay? And then undo it. Just screw them in a bit more because they're rather loose. Now, to tighten it up, you need to get it 0. Alright? 0 free play so that the hub's not moving around. So you could usually do that up by hand to there, and that would give you 0. But in a car you could easily do that. In this being a heavy equipment, I might just go just that little bit further. Do you see how far I moved that? Now we have to preload it. Okay, so just a little bit more, because if you don't preload it from here and you fit this on and you've got to move the bearing back to get it to line up, you've actually loosened the bearing, and that wouldn't be too much chop. So we'll preload a little bit and allow a little bit for us to go forward and backwards. So there you see the lever bar I'm using. Maybe 5 minutes on the clock, and we'll fit the lock tag in and see where it lines up at that. See if we have to go tighter or looser. So once we do that, you can see where the holes are lined up where you put your threader in, just where we took these bolts out of. Oh, that worked out pretty good. I'm thinking maybe a fly tighter. So we'll get the correct screwdriver bit and we'll see if that fits in there. Yes, it does. Okay, we did not have to move this forwards or backwards. If we had to back this off, do not go more than, say, half a thread, like half a bolt width. Alright, if you had to come back half, then you virtually have come back 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and 2.5 minutes on preload probably isn't going to be quite enough. So you're better off tightening it a little bit even if you have to go to 7 minutes from the 5-minute position. Alrighty, do you understand what I'm saying there? Okay, just like a clock face. Now, tighten this up. We're not going to use a big hammer, it's just a little hammer. Remember, these only get tightened up a little bit tighter than what you can do with a normal screwdriver. So with that, we'll just go like so, a little tap, and it does it up a little tighter. I won't get that off with a screwdriver. And same with that one. That will be tight enough. They should not come loose. That should be it. Alright, now it's time to adjust the brake shoes up to meet the drum. And then we'll let the self-adjusters take care of it after that. Alright guys, now we're going to adjust the brakes back up. I've got 3 little tools here, various lengths, various widths depending on what vehicle I'm doing. This has got a very narrow slot, so I'll get rid of that really wide one, and I might do this little tiny fellow. Now remember, you may have these little rubber grommets that are on the backing plate. You just pull them out so you can get access through to the adjuster. Now, if you don't have one of these brake adjuster tools, you could probably get away with a screwdriver. I don't know if you'll get away with a straight one, but it always helps to have a little bend in it. And what we do is you stick it in through the slot. Yep, I remembered which way that spun, so I knew which way to turn the tool. And you can hear it clicking. Yeah. And we keep spinning the drum until we hear the shoe touch. Alright, we'll leave that one for the time being. We'll go to the other one. Oh, do you hear my shoulder crack? Alright, what we're going to do now is get the brake pedal pressed. That'll expand the wheel cylinders, push the shoe up against the drum. It'll centralise the shoes a little bit better, and then we'll come back and we'll try and adjust the shoes again. Now it's handy if you've got someone with you that can press the brake pedal, because while they're pressing the brake pedal you can turn the drum and see if the shoes actually expand and grip the shoe. So we'll do a little bit more adjusting on this. Okay, I reckon that's pretty close to touching. Okay, I reckon they are touching, because I'm starting to get a little bit of drag on the shoe. So that will do us. The self-adjuster will take care of itself once we've taken it out, bedded the shoes in, and the adjuster will take over and make sure the adjustment's correct. Okay, so that's that bit done. Now if you've replaced your wheel cylinders, you'll obviously have to bleed the brakes as well. So if it does become a little bit awkward bleeding brakes with the wheels on, it can be difficult. So yeah, you just have to deal with that. You have to get to the bleed nipple at the back and crawl under the bus and bleed your brakes. Now you've probably noticed I have a fair few safety devices fitted to this while I'm working on this, so the bus doesn't fall on and kill me. I've got the jack stand, I've got the bottle jack from the bus itself, and I've also got a floor jack which is underneath the differential. So between the three of those I feel quite safe crawling underneath the bus, but knowing that it's probably not going to collapse on me. Okay, before we put the axle back in, we just have to make sure this face is nice and clean so we can put the Ultimate Grey RTV in there. JB Weld make this one. The grey is very, very good. Don't spray your brake clean directly on here because it'll just go in there and mix up with your grease. Apply it to a cloth and then just run it across your surfaces, and also run it over your threads and get any elastic and stuff that may be stuck on there and around your pins. Alright, do the same for your axle, the mating surface for that, and we'll be close to putting this in. Now hopefully the end will come off this tube and I'll be able to squeeze. Oh yes, beautiful. Now, you don't go too crazy with this stuff. Just spread it on in the centre. Probably about you could go about a 1mm bead, something like that. You can widen it a little bit, but don't make it too thick so it absolutely oozes out everywhere when you tighten the axle up. But we definitely want to make sure it seals the inside, so make sure you just around the studs you apply a little bit, yeah, and that way your hub shouldn't leak. It shouldn't leak anyway, guys, it's grease. The only way you're going to get oil coming out of this is if this seal fails in here where the axle goes in there. So yeah, that seal in here is to stop oil coming out of the differential and going down in here and contaminating your grease. So if oil actually comes out of here, you know this seal is knackered. Alright, but the grease shouldn't melt. It's high temperature grease, high load grease, it'll take it. So now we're ready to put the axle in and bolt her up and put these little cones back in. Also notice your cones and see if they're still got a big split in them. If they're actually butting together, replace your cones, yeah? Because they won't be doing their job they're supposed to. The whole idea of these cones is they get squashed in when you do them up, and it keeps pressure up against the axle, and the axle does not move. I don't know if I mentioned it, but if you have to replace the axle seal in here, they come out pretty easy with the drum and everything off. Or if you're replacing it while the drum is still on, you can probably get a screwdriver in there and pull it out and then just bash your new one in. Alright, make sure you grease that shaft, and then we will carefully slide this in. Now line up your dowels. First it's going to go into the differential gears, and there we have it. Now turn your drum to match. So there's the pin there, because this is locked now, you can't move it because of the gears, and that should be close. Okay, we just haven't got the pins lined up, that's all. Which way have we got to go to get them lined up? A little bit down. Let's see if that works. Ah, gotcha. Oh, got me. Oh, there you go. Axle went in, pinched my finger. All right. Put in all your little cones. I'm claiming compo. I'm actually bleeding. So yeah, watch that one, guys. Keep your fingers out of the way. All right, we'll put this in the correct spot. Should be something like that. You don't have to be in too much of a hurry for this. That elastic doesn't dry immediately. Now I'm going to be using a rattle gun on its lowest setting to do this up. Right, now we will use a ratchet. Now remember, these are sitting on a taper. Actually, you could say acts like a spring washer. Okay, you see how much is oozed out? Almost nothing, but it has oozed out. And that's about the right amount. Alright, done. Well, there you go, guys. That's the drum shoes replaced. All because one shoe fell apart on the right hand side. I had to do the left hand side as well. You tend to do things in matched pairs, yeah. So if you had leaking wheel cylinders you discovered on the right hand side as well, I would certainly replace the left hand side as well. Okay, there's 4 of them. They're all different part numbers. So it pays to just do the whole job. Yeah, don't take a shortcut and just replace the one cylinder that's leaking, sort of thing. Or I don't think you can buy these shoes as a set of 2. Yeah, I think you have to buy the whole 4 of them. So yeah, it's a big job. You have to have the gear, especially just to get these wheels off. So I'm going to cover that in another video later on, the tyre changing gear that you need. But yeah, so this whole job was basically find out why it was running hot, and I've discovered that, brake shoes, and so we replaced the brake shoes. So now you know how to do shoes, and you should know now how the self-adjusters work too. Alright, and all the little steps you need to take, repack bearings, as I've shown you that in a separate video. Alright, so good luck with your coaster. Hope you don't have to do this job in the near future anyway. But if you just want to check your brakes, this is the sort of stuff you're going to have to go through, pulling that drum off. Okay, thanks for watching. Catch you in another video.